Mehdi Hassan came unprepared to this debate on the PBD podcast. Take a look.
Your thoughts on, a lot of people in America, you got things that's happening in Texas with that one city, what is it called? Epic City or something like that in Plano, Texas.
Yeah.
What do you say to some conservatives that are worried about Sharia law making it into America?
I would say, please do not worry. You're being lied to. You're being gaslit. You're being distracted. This is a fake moral panic that's been blown up.
Because it'll never happen, or because Sharia law is not that bad?
Because it's not. Two different things. Number one, Sharia law is not what you think it is, but that we can park that for discussion for a moment. I'll come to that. It's not happening. There's nobody I know who's pushing Sharia law in this country. It's completely fake, and it's being pushed in ridiculous places, not just Texas, Oklahoma, Indiana. Did you see the lieutenant governor of Indiana said recently, we need to hate Islam. It's a demonic religion, right? And I'm going to fight radical Islam and Sharia. Do you know what the population of Muslim population of Indiana is? Less than 1%. Like, this is ridiculous fear-mongering.
It has 3x the U.S., I think, in the last 26 years, if I'm not mistaken. Muslim population.
But it's still less,
not Indiana.
But it's even nationwide. What is it? 1 to 2%.
I want to say 4.5 million.
It's which is
what?
Yeah,
you're right. It's 1 or 2%. But by the way, you're 3x in 26 years. Okay. It's not like you're not doing a good job. You're growing.
We're growing. Elon Musk wants people to have more kids. If you say, look, I've seen some of your shows. You've talked about Muslims praying in Times Square, that being some kind of threat. I would say just have a sense of what the real world consequences of our rhetoric can be. Words have consequences. Crazy people out there can pick up weapons and think Muslims are coming to take over my country.
I would tell you, I've interviewed a lot of weird people on my podcast. A lot. You tell them, I'll have them on. I don't have a problem talking to anybody. I had a great conversation with Wes Moore.
Yeah.
What was it, 5 weeks ago? I've had mobsters on, Sammy the Bull. I've had Kobe on. I've had, many different people on. You know what's the only one that brought so many death threats? Bibi was the only one. I've had a lot of people on.
Okay.
Multiple presidents. We did a podcast with Bibi. I've never told this story publicly, so they'll know. It was on my birthday, and I come out of the podcast. My security says, there's a guy in the front lobby that just got caught with cops with grenades. I said, this is a terrible joke here, because everybody always tried to prank me for my birthday, and I always catch people. Like, they're trying to surprise me. I'm like, listen, this is not the right way to do it. He says, I'm not laughing. This is an 18 Delta guy. And I said, really? He says, yeah, look at the front gate. So I go to the front gate. I'm looking. I'm like, wait a minute. What is that? Cops everywhere. Guy shows up. I'll show you the pictures afterwards. With grenades, with weapons, with guns that came in here. And the number of death threats that we started getting afterwards, insanity, just for having Bibi.
You have a show on YouTube called Islam's Hidden Threat to the West. You have another headline, Will Muslims Run America in 30 Years? Now, I know you like to host good faith discussions and debates, but you have to understand, if people get this in their feeds and their social media all the time, are you telling me that people are not going to start, if they hear Micah Beckwith of Indiana say Islam is a demonic religion, and then they hear guests on your show saying Islam's a threat to the West, and they hear Randy Fine saying Sharia law has taken over America, you don't think two Nazi teenagers with guns are going to go, well, I'm going to go deal with this mosque down my street? You're telling me there's no link between that?
Yeah.
Come on.
No, I'm not going to say there's no link between that. Of course,
we have to be careful. Let's not. We know that demonizing minority communities. Look what happened to synagogues.
Dude.
And I would say the same thing about the Jewish community. We have to be careful about our criticism of Israel, so it doesn't lead to attacks on Jews.
The question becomes, for me, it's all on data. Meaning, if you live in my community, you make it safer, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
If you come in, you create jobs, I'm all for it. If you come in, you assimilate, you love America, I'm all for it. If you come in, you don't contribute.
Yeah.
You take advantage of the programs that we have. You don't want to create jobs. Where is the incentive? Why are we bringing it?
That's a different argument. We can have that argument. It is. I'm talking about incitement. When you say Muslims, are they going to run America in 30 years? Of course not. We're 1% of the population.
I don't think so. No,
when you say Islam is a threat to the West. Oh, come on. 1% of the population.
By 2050, you guys are going to be the biggest population in the world. You guys make 2.9
But not in America. Not in America. Okay. We're not even going to be. Pull up the numbers, Rob. What are we going to be in 2050?
The difference between you and I is, I think long term.
But on your show too, Patrick, come on. You did a whole thing. I watched it of you obsessing over this Times Square prayer. Like this is some act of domination. Why are Muslims not allowed to pray in Times Square? Why are Jews allowed to do Hanukkah?
Expansion.
Why is Jews allowed to do Hanukkah? Hindus do Diwali.
You know what my argument is
Catholics
against that? You know
Easter.
what my argument is against that? Guess what my argument is against that? You ready?
Go on.
It's going to go back to something you don't like.
Please.
You ready?
Go on.
Here we go. If Muslims do a better job expanding, they deserve everything they get.
But it's not expanding. It's
no,
just
but it is though. No, it is though.
Changing the subject.
It is though. If Muslims, I'm a capitalist to the core. Meaning, if you beat me, guess what I do? You got to tip your hat. I don't know if you follow
What if people
basketball or
aren't
not.
trying to be? What if they just want to pray in
No,
Ramadan?
but they're visual. You want to go watch how many of the videos like long term we're going to come America. Sharia, here's where we're going to be.
Have you seen the Christian prayers at the National Mall? They're not the same.
No, you can't.
Have you seen? Are you kidding me?
Can I ask you a question?
Did you watch?
Can I ask you a question?
God,
Your
Patrick, you
position-
need to get
what
out
was your-
more.
what
You're
was
on
your
the
position?
right wing
What was your
algorithm
position?
too
What was
much.
your
You watch
position?
Ilhan Omar videos
Do
and
you,
Times
do you
Square
know at
videos
one point
all day long?
Do you know at one point I was sitting down with Muslims trying to find out what things we have in common? Okay, and literally I was bringing Muslims to sit down and talk about them. You know why? Because to me, the LGBTQ, specifically on the T side, was getting a little too far. And I think deep down inside to the core, you're there, but you can't say it publicly because it's politics for you over what your religion believes in as a Muslim. What is the Muslim position on LGBTQ?
There is no one position. Islam is not a monolith, but yes, in general.
Oh, let me read it.
Hold on,
to you.
let me finish.
Go for it.
Islam in general, obviously, Islam, I'm not an Islamic scholar, but Islam as traditionally practiced, like Christianity and Judaism as traditionally practiced, is very hostile to the idea of homosexuality.
Okay,
theologically.
so we have that in
finish.
common.
Let me finish.
Okay.
Pew polling. Let me give you some polls because you keep talking about
I've followed all
Americans,
the
this and that.
polls.
So in 2017, Pew did a poll of Americans, and they found that Muslim Americans were more likely to say 52%, I think it was, of Muslim Americans said that homosexuality should be accepted in society. You know how many white evangelical Protestants said that? 34%. 34%.
Protestants was 34%.
34%.
I have that data.
So Muslims were more accepting of homosexuality. Rob, I love you, Rob. They were more accepting of homosexuality than white Christian evangelicals, right? So my question then is, when you talk about integration, assimilation, America is a liberal country. It's a pro-gay country, whether you like it or not. Muslims, and by the way, we ran a poll. We ran a poll this year. One last point, Patrick. We ran a poll earlier this year at Zeteo from Opinium. They polled Muslims in the UK and the US. Guess what they found? Muslims in the UK and Muslims in the US support democracy more than non-Muslim Americans and non-Muslim Britons. Muslims in America and Britain support gender equality more than non-Muslim Britons and Americans.
May I read
so for
you
your
something?
viewers, I just want to make clear, you've been lied to about Muslim attitudes. I'm giving you the numbers.
But let me ask you, what was your position a few years ago on homosexuality?
My position when growing up was very hostile. That's
Very conservative, not hostile, probably very conservative.
It was hostile.
Okay, it was conservative. Okay,
Yeah,
so if I go to
and
some
I've talked about how I've evolved on that.
Okay, so if I go to some of the countries with homosexuality, 10 countries, homosexuality is a legal punishment in at least death penalties, legal punishment in 10 countries. Afghanistan, Saudi, Iran, Pakistan, Yemen, Qatar, Somalia.
What's the point?
UAE, Nigeria. This is where they're coming from. Okay, so Iran and Saudi, the only two national confirmed to have carried out government-sanctioned executions for that. Horrific.
Yeah.
Not one Shia majority nation is for same-sex marriage. I'll tell you another thing that is a concern of mine. I want to know what you're going to say about this. When it comes down to age for marriage in some of these countries, give you a rebuttal. I'm curious. So if a person comes from a country, or like in Sudan, the minimum age for marriage is 10 years old. Are you for that? I don't think you are. In Iran, the legal age for marriage is 13 years old.
Okay.
As young as 9 with parental consent. Are you for that? I'm certain you're not, okay? And I'm not saying you're taking these positions. Yemen, no legal minimum wage.
I don't know where you're going.
I'll ask you the question. Yemen, no legal minimum age. 1/3 of women 20 to 24 will marry before 18 years old. Iraq parliament in 2024 moved to allow age girls to marry as young as 9 years old under Jafari school law. Pakistan, 1.9 million child brides in Pakistan, 6th highest in the world, okay? Culturally, if you're coming from this environment to America, notice I didn't say every other country that's coming from Muslim. If you're coming from that culture to America, does that coincide?
The man who never lost an argument, ladies and gentlemen. This is Mehdi Hasan, the great Mehdi Hasan, I think humbled in this debate by PBD, asking very simple questions of like, is the West and Islam compatible? Why are Muslims in America talking about birth rates and how in 50 years it's going to be, the next Islamic caliphate? And, Mehdi Hasan tries to play cover. He tries to, oh, that's just an exaggeration. Oh, look over there. Oh, whataboutism? But, the reality is I think everybody can kind of feel it. Everybody is kind of waking up. And I will admit, Mehdi Hasan plays his part well. He convinces many people, liberals included, that he is this, loving of everybody type guy, and he just wants freedom and liberty. And, really he's a reformed Muslim. He doesn't want to, quote unquote, take over. But the reality is he is somebody who is very pro open immigration. He wants the third world to come to the first world. And he has no problem denigrating Western values, talking about how terrible we are. And he is somebody who hates white people. He does. He finds white people to be inferior. He is somebody who will say white people are the dangerous threat, etc., etc. Finish the sentence. And that is what we're dealing with. People like Mehdi Hasan who subvert our democracy, who pretend to be liberal, who try to blend in with the democratic system, but again, using democracy against us, using free speech against us, using our best intentions against us. That is what these people do. It needs to be stopped. And again, I applaud Mehdi's attempt to trick us, to fool us, but what he says to us is not what he's saying in the masjid, in the mosque. Thank you for watching this video. For more, subscribe to the channel. If you want to help us make more of these videos, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/JewishUncensored. And you can also buy our merchandise down in the description below. Again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.